the IATF 16949 podcast, where we talk about all things automotive. Find us on our channel at youtube.com/IATF 16949 auditing, or visit our website at www.iatfglobaloversight.org. This is the IATF 16949 podcast.
So welcome to this IATF auditing podcast. I'm Paul Hardiman, and I'm really pleased to be joined again by Niall Keeley and Devin Gage. So good afternoon.
Good afternoon from Versailles.
We're from Versailles in France, yeah, and we're actually sitting face to face with each other in a meeting room. Yeah. So certainly we had some discussion about what we should cover in this podcast. And certainly and I think Niall and Devin, you probably agree, that we get a lot of correspondence about people that are looking to become a third-party IATF 16949 auditor. So what I think we're going to try and explore is, well, what is the process and what advice can you give about somebody that has seen a career path as to become an IATF auditor? So Niall, if we talk about prerequisites, what background and experience does a person need to really enter the qualification process as a new auditor?
That's a great question. I think the key thing, Paul, is they need to be sponsored by a certification body. So the only people that can join the new auditor training for third party are people that are sponsored by a certification body. So that's the first prerequisite. There's a list of the 39 certification bodies on the IATF Global Oversight website with contact. So if you want to make contact with a certification body, that's an easy way of doing that. And there will be some. You can't just become a third-party auditor for IATF without having already been a third-party auditor for ISO 9001.
Right. Okay, so let's just go back one step then. In terms of technical experience, is there any guidance, Devin, about how much experience somebody needs to be considered to enter the process?
Yes, well, there is. So it's outlined within Rules 4.2, specifically D talks about 4 years of full-time appropriate experience, including 2, which is dedicated to quality assurance or quality management. And that's within past 15 years. So 4 relevant years within the past 15 years work experience within an automotive manufacturing company. There are some exceptions if you've worked in telecom or rail or off-road equipment. There could be opportunities there as well.
Right. But I think the key message Devin's giving there is somebody can't come straight out of college and go straight in to be an auditor. You've got to have some relevant industrial experience, ideally within the automotive supply chain, and you have to have some experience of quality and quality management systems.
I think it's helpful to have audit experience within those organisations. So having been a sort of supplier auditor or an internal auditor is a good foundation, I would say.
Yeah. So I think we're saying there potentially is 2 routes in then. We could come from industry and we could be approaching a certification body and saying, based upon all this experience that I've got, I would like to enter your certification body, either full-time or contract, and start to become an IATF qualified auditor. Or I could be working in a certification body. I could already be a qualified ISO 9001 third-party auditor, and I want to progress my career to be qualified in IATF.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that they're the 2 possible entry routes?
Yeah.
So let's say that we approach, or if I'm a new auditor, approach a certification body. They're interested in developing me as an IATF 16949 auditor. What happens next in terms of my path to IATF qualification? No.
Obviously, there's a great YouTube channel that you can watch to give you some insights into auditing. But two things. One, on a competency point of view, there will be an expectation that you have knowledge in the automotive core tools. So you either will bring that with you, or you will develop that with your certification body. Your certification body that you are sponsored by will qualify you to undertake 9001 audits, and you will be required to have conducted at least 6 of those third-party 9001 audits in manufacturing organisations, and of those 6, 3 of them you would need to have been the team leader.
Right. So just to recap there, then, I'm now working on behalf of a certification body, full-time or contract. I've done the required number of ISO 9001 audits in manufacturing, some as maybe auditor, some as lead auditor. Devon, what happens next?
So after that, you will apply, or your sponsoring CV will apply for you to take an IATF third-party auditor training. Once that approval or application has been processed by the training organization, which you can find your local training organization if you go to the IATF website. Once that has been approved, you will be assigned some pre-work and pre-study. You'll sign up for your training, and you'll also sign up for the first step of the evaluation process that comes after that 4-day training.
Right. Okay. So again, just to recap then, make an application to become a new auditor through a recognized IATF training provider. You will be allocated some pre-study work to do as part of that application. You will arrange dates to attend the IATF 4-day new auditor training program. Anything else now we have to do before we actually get into this training class then?
What I can think of. So I think, once you've been approved by the training organisation, you will have to, as you've mentioned, there's a whole list of pre-study requirements. So you have to do those before the training. Before you can even make it into the training, you need to have done an observation audit, which is something that was added, I don't know, a few years ago, to really make the training more useful, I guess, so that people that are joining the training have observed. So in other words, they have followed an audit around in real life before they come to the training, because that then allows them to ask even more pertinent questions during the training itself.
And then Devon, so we've got all this way now, we're on a 4-day approved training course. Tell us a little bit more about the delivery of that. Is that face-to-face? Is it virtual, or can it be either?
Yeah, so given the recent events of COVID-19 and everything, IATF has really changed the process to allow you to do either face-to-face or virtual, depending on what is going on in your region and what better fits your schedule.
Right. Okay. And now I think I've seen some feedback about people that have attended the training.
Yeah.
What do people think of it?
They love it. If I'm honest, they seem to love it. So we find the feedback really good, and we sort of monitor the feedback. We run a sort of net promoter score on it. Everybody that has attended the latest variation of this training, which kicked off at the beginning of last year, 2022, has recommended it. The feedback from the sort of pre-study, pre-course information all the way through the training. And again, Paul, you're heavily involved in this. You know that we've worked hard to make the training as interactive, as engaging, as possible. So we use videos, we breakout groups, we try to make it as much as possible like the candidates are planning and delivering audits using case studies, videos, etc.
Right. So people have then been through this 4-day training program. Devon, what happens next?
Yeah, so once you take the 4-day training program, you need to attend evaluation, which is done in what we call the ADP or Auditor Development Platform. It's a proctored either virtually or in person, and that has to be done within 3 months of the end of the training.
Okay, and I've heard that. No, that's quite tough.
Yeah.
How are those ADP exams structured?
Yeah, and then Paul, just before that, I should have mentioned the ADP, as Devin said, is our auditor development platform. Before you even attend the training, you are registered on the ADP. That will allow you to do the pre-study. So the ADP is a sort of core platform that we use across the IATF for auditor training. The evaluation itself is a tough day. It covers a series of knowledge and application assessments. So you would turn up either virtually or in person, log into your ADP account, and that would present you with your knowledge and application evaluations. There are 5 key competencies that we look for from auditor candidates. Knowledge, we're looking for knowledge of IATF itself, the standard, knowledge of the certification scheme rules, and then we look at core tool knowledge, specifically FMEA, failure mode and effects analysis, MSA, measurement systems analysis, and SPC, statistical process control.
Right. Okay. So comprehensive knowledge exam and application exam. At the end of that, Devon, then what are the options? I know it's quite complex, but in simple terms, what happens at the end of that initial ADP?
So it depends on the results of the ADP and how your scores are, because as Niall said, there's the knowledge, and each knowledge is scored individually, as well as the application in which each is scored individually. So it depends on if you get red or yellow or green. So if you obtain at least minimum all yellow or green, you begin the audit process of beginning to go out and be able to do IATF audits. Obviously, if you're red, you have to become yellow in specific areas before you're allowed to do audits.
So red's not a good color then. Let's assume then that people do well. So they either get greens or yellows in the ADP exam. Does that mean now that I can actually go out and undertake audits now?
So it does. Technically, it qualifies you to undertake audits. There's a requirement that your certification body would need to do what we would call an internal witness audit. So they would observe you operating as what we would call an audit team leader in a real life audit, and they would essentially sign you off or review your performance and hopefully sign you off, at which point you would be fully qualified, able to undertake third-party IATF 16949 audits.
Right. And does that mean that I have a badge for life, or is there anything that happens after that, Devon?
Yeah, so that is kind of almost a preliminary allocation of credentials being able to go out and audit. So it's valid for a period of up to 24 months. And then at that point, you will have to come back and undergo a separate evaluation, which is more of an interview type evaluation. Once you've passed that, you will be fully certified. And that's what we would consider phase 2 of the certification or process.
And that's all fresh in our minds because we've been rolling that out this week. And I understand now there is a requirement for continued professional development.
Yeah.
What does that involve for auditors?
So yeah, there's two things. You have to do a minimum number of audits and audit days over the course of a year to maintain your auditor credentials. So off the top of my head, that's 10 audit days a year, one audit per month, per quarter. So one audit per quarter, 10 audit days per year is the minimum to keep your auditor credentials. CPD itself, so continuing professional development, that would require you to either undertake some what we call structured or unstructured. And again, it depends what it is, but it might be participating in a training course. It might be feedback from an IATF witness audit that would be deemed as CPD. It might be participation in we have certification body meetings, one of those, or an event of some sort. So the rules defines CPD and it lists the types of CPD requirements that would be counted. And again, back to the ADP, that allows the auditor, every time they do some CPD, undertake some CPD, to record it in the CPD tracker in the ADP.
Okay, and I'm sure the listeners, Devon, would be interested. How many IATF auditors are there in the world, approximately?
Right, approximately, we're just over 3,300 IATF auditors.
Right, and would you say that there is a demand for new auditors into the scheme?
There's always a demand for new auditors. Obviously, as the certification cycle ebbs and flows, you'll hit peaks of demand, which we will be coming up on a demand towards the end of this year, because that will be the start of the recertification audits.
Right, okay, and this is all linked back to the issue of the 2016 version of the standard, I guess, where there was a changeover. So there is, as you say, peaks and troughs in demand, where the certification bodies may struggle then for resources in certain months, certain years. And I guess there is country to country variation in demand as well. Yeah. No, we've been through then quite a complex process. If I'm a new auditor and I want to find out more, where would I go? How would I find out an information about how to become an IATF qualified auditor?
Yeah. So, Paul, the first place would be the Global Oversight website. That's iatfglobaloversight.org. And then down the right-hand side of that website, there are a number of menus, and one of them is new auditor training info. You just click onto that, and that will give you the list of languages that new auditor training is available in, and it gives you the link to the training organisations that can provide third-party auditor training, and there's a link there to allow you to send an email to one of those training organisations, and that will get the ball rolling.
Good. So I guess for some of you, this could be a valid career path for you in the future. Think from what you've heard from Devon and Niall, it is quite a complex process to become an IATF qualified auditor. Once you become an auditor, those of you with families should also know that there are long audit days. You're expected to audit shifts. So it is not easy, but having done 15 years as a third-party auditor, it is a brilliant opportunity to understand more about the way that the automotive supply chain works. So I would encourage you to think about this. But I don't think any of us would want you to think that it is an easy life.
Rewarding is rewarding is that a word we can use to describe it? But you're right, Paul. It's demanding. but essentially you're the IATF on the ground going into these organisations. There's about 90,000 of them at the moment certified to the standard, and you would play a significant part in that process of making sure that organisations are satisfying the IATF requirements and are worthy of the IATF certificate.
Yeah. Good. So thanks, Devon. Thanks, Niall. We very much hope that we might see you on future IATF new auditor training. We again are committed to keeping the YouTube channel going, so please make sure you continue to watch and to subscribe to that. We will be filming later this year some more videos, so the commitment is still there from both SMMT and IOB to keep this channel live and interactive. So thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
The IATF 16949 podcast, where we talk about all things automotive. Find us on our channel at youtube.com/IATF 16949 auditing, or visit our website at www.iatfglobaloversight.org. This is the IATF 16949 podcast.